My next recommendation is digital detox. There's large studies showing that smartphone use contributes to anxiety, depression, and insomnia. Behaviors that I recommend to adopt for healthier relationship with your smartphone include limiting your smartphone use to not more than 2 hours a day, opting for in-person interactions over virtual, removing app notifications from your phone, turning off work mode on your phone when you're not in the office, putting away your phone when you're eating with others or basically doing anything else in the real world, unplugging the hour before sleep. When you go online, defining a purpose beforehand. Relieving boredom is not a purpose. And setting a time limit for how long you'll be online ahead of time so you don't get trapped in the black hole of your smartphone. So the next option for treating depression, therapy. So if you're looking for a therapist, and I recommend cognitive behavioral therapy as a modality with the most evidence for helping people with depression, you can check out your insurance's website to find therapists that are covered or in network. You can also check out this link, which is constantly updated, and it's in the resource section. And it provides a list of therapists that have been recently reviewed by patients who I see in San Francisco. Many of these therapists see patients through telemedicine, so you may be able to find a therapist on this list even if you don't live in San Francisco. Exercise can have a profound effect on mood and well-being. For one, exercise releases endorphins, which are bind to the body's natural morphine receptors, the same receptors that are stimulated when we take in the human-made morphine. So we can have that same feeling of that runner's high from physical exercise. And the two types of physical exercise that we know have overall health benefits, so would be great to kill two birds with one stone, treat depression and meet your exercise goals, are aerobic exercise for 150 minutes at moderate intensity per week or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity per week. Moderate intensity is just walking. So if you go out for a brief walk for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, that counts. Resistance training, in addition to aerobic training, is recommended, and this is 2 sessions per week. This does not have to be free weights. You do not have to go to the gym. This can be yoga. This can be, and I use the Down Dog app for yoga. This can be resistance training. So I use, or I've used Home Workout, which is an app, and it uses your own body weight as resistance. So both of these, both aerobic exercise and resistance training, not only can improve mood, they also benefit overall health. Next is activities you enjoy. So when we're depressed, we tend to become less active and stop doing the things we enjoy. And that's a vicious cycle because we're not doing the things we enjoy, so we feel more depressed. One of the reasons that we stop doing things we're going to enjoy is because of this kind of cognitive bias we have, and it's called emotional predicting. When we think about how we'll feel doing something in the future, rather than remember how much we enjoyed in the past, we tend to use whatever emotion we're feeling at the present to predict how we'll feel in the future, no matter what the activity. So if I'm feeling really down and I think about going for a walk, I'm not going to remember how good I felt yesterday when I went for a walk. I'm going to think about how bad I feel right now when I anticipate how I'll feel when I go for that walk. So this emotional predicting can get us into trouble. And it's important, therefore, not to pay attention to that negative, the shadow that's cast over our prediction of future events, to actually, in the words of O.H. Moore, act ourselves into a better way of feeling. do the things that we know have made us feel good in the past, rather than waiting to feel ourselves into a better way of acting, rather than waiting to feel like we want to do something. Do it because we've learned in the past that it helps, and our moods will ensue, a positive mood will ensue, and rather than something that we think that we will predict we will feel it, we can rely on our knowledge from the past that this is something that has helped. Next is sunlight. So regular sunlight, probably 30 minutes a day, has been shown to modulate serotonin. Serotonin is the feel-good chemical of the brain. And when our bodies, what sunlight does is it slows down the breakdown of serotonin as it's trying to cross the synapses in the brain. This is the same effect of taking an antidepressant. So getting some regular sunlight is actually a natural antidepressant. And finally, there's medication. So the class of medications that I recommend are selective, or that are generally recommended, are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. You should consider these if you have a score of 10 or above on the depression screen, or if you're thinking of hurting yourself, or if you just think medications are worth the try. These are a effective class of medications. They're not addictive. They're not like taking in a feel-good chemical. What they do is they allow serotonin, which is the body's own feel-good chemical, time to cross the synapse and have its effect. Otherwise, for some people, serotonin is broken down rapidly before it has a chance to cross. These medications slow down that degradation of serotonin, giving the neurotransmitter more time to work. In conclusion, we've discussed the recommendation to treat depression. We talked about the seriousness of depression, how it affects overall health. We talked about the value of measuring your own depression severity if you answered that you are depressed. And we discussed specific ways for addressing depression. We talked about flow, or finding engagement in the present. We talked about improving your behavior with your smartphone. We talked about the value of therapy, of regular both aerobic and resistance training, physical activity. We talked about the idea of emotional predicting and how we're better off acting ourselves into a better way of feeling rather than waiting to feel like we want to act. We talked about the value of sunlight, which is the brain's natural antidepressant. And we talked about the medications, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and how they work and who they might be helpful for. Thank you for your time listening to this video. If you are depressed and you're thinking of hurting yourself, or you're scoring 10 or above, I strongly encourage you to seek professional help. For everyone, I hope these self-help tips are useful to you, and I wish you the best of luck